Welcome back as another edition of Rick Corey Sports Special and a smiling Antonio Graham. At least you ought to be. Outscored three opponents 130 to 62. I don't know if you realize that after this win 48-17 over Charles Page. Tell me who your stars were in this one.
Man, I got to give it to basically it was just a good team win at the end of the day, Rick. We had seven guys that scored a touchdown in that game. And yesterday in our meeting, I had those seven guys stand up and I'm like, how would you defend? I asked one of the players, I said, how would you defend this? I said, when you got seven guys that can score a touchdown and could do something special, how would you defend this? And so I just gave it a great team effort. That's the first time I've been coaching where I had seven different dudes that scored a touchdown. And so very proud of them. Just a great team win overall.
I don't know that I've ever even heard of that. I mean, I've seen five or six guys score, and I
Yes,
guess it's
sir.
probably happened. But in high school, how rare is that? That's got to be. I mean, it's a good way to go into a bye week, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, that and being healthy as well, and so our biggest deal this week is just to get better and just continue to focus on this football team and ourselves.
The impressive thing to me is, and I spoke with Lord Montgomery about this yesterday. There are times when you go to play a game, and on paper your team may look better. You know
Mm-hmm.
that. Most of the time they know that, but to have them perform at that level, that's a different thing. How do you get that out of them?
Well, I just kind of give them, I continue to give them examples. Talent don't win games. And we all know that. I always go back and just say, hey, look at the Notre Dame game. On paper, they're the best team. But, NIU came out and played, and so you're starting to see examples of that every weekend in college football. And so it's a way for me to keep them grounded and make sure they stay humble and just get, hey, now you're the hunted. And that's the biggest thing right there, Rick. You guys are the hunted, so you want to get everybody's best shot. So you can't afford to take a playoff. So they're starting to step up to the challenge, and they're starting to realize what they got at stake here.
And then obviously you've got the bye week, and then you get into district play. And as I said to all the coaches, a bye week doesn't mean no work. How do you guys handle it, or how you intend to? It's your first bye week as a head coach.
We try our best to obviously, we want to give guys a couple of days off, but the biggest thing is you got to continue to get better at your individual self, and you can't do anything you don't want to do anything like halfway or anything like that. So we try to in today's world, Rick. My thinking is you got to keep these kids on the schedule, and anytime they get off or thrown off it blows their mind. So, we're doing the best. Like today is a work day for us, and we're gonna go out there and we're gonna have a 2 hour practice, and we're gonna get better tomorrow. The same thing, but if anything, you're gonna taper off a couple of minutes of practice, and shorten it down, and not too much banging, but just enough because you got to stay sharp at some things. And so we're gonna do a little bit of banging around today, and kind of taper it off towards the end of the week.
Do you guys sprinkle in Broken Arrow and then go heavy next week, or do you do most of it next week? How do you handle that?
We do it now. If you got a chance to work on a good, I mean, Broken Arrow scored 600. I mean, they had over 650 yards of offense last week, and I don't care how you put it. When you have that many yards of offense, so right now we're getting right into it. We don't want to take these guys lightly, and but the biggest thing is we don't want to chase ghosts. When you got two weeks to prepare for a team, you start chasing ghosts. Well, what if no? Let's do what we do. Let's keep and let's play.
Yeah,
You know.
don't Todd Graham that thing.
Yes, yes, sir.
11 o'clock on the mattress going, hey, stop drawing plays on napkins, man. Uh,
Absolutely.
as these guys win and get more and more success, and you've had success at Owasso, but this is even taking that up a different ramp at a different level. What are you seeing from them and the reaction to that?
Honestly, man, they're doing a good job of like we've been preaching these last couple of weeks. We just been well, not last week, this whole off season. I challenge our players to get to know one another, and that's a big deal. The brotherhood and seeing this generation kind of get more bonded, and so in today's world of coaching, it's more harder to mentor kids by the simple lessons we have. You can't call them and you can't do them. But so we think it's more important to kind of get to know each other more. Like make sure you know your teammates' names, and you got 120 kids on the roster. And so the biggest thing is like, hey, yeah, you having all the success, but at the end of the day, you better make sure this group in here stay together because it can also be cancerous to a football team. And so we just making sure like, hey, remember your people who was there from day one. That's kind of our motto right now. Guys in this locker room, your family and people in the community, because at the end of the day, they're not gonna remember what you did in week 1, 2, and 3. It's time. The new record has not the new season has started. So they're doing a good job of kind of buying into that, Rick, and understanding that hey, the most important on this team is these people in this locker room and our community and family.
Speaking of community, something tells me you haven't had to buy a lot of lunches lately. I mean, again, they're kind of used to success in Owasso, but you must get some smiles around town.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's happy that we're having such success. I kind of like to stay out of the way, Rick. Me. When I get done with this work, I try to go tend to my little man at home. He's growing up, and just I think it's just as important as me to make sure I keep my eye on the prize and that I stay focused because you got to lead by example. I try not to. I mean, that's just me. I'm not going to try to retweet anything and because I don't want our guys. I preach, hey, you guys stay out of Clippers and start reading the newspaper, start reading yourself. I got to do the same. And so that's kind of my motto. That's just me.
How are you finding this first year as a head coach as you start to go through and get into the grind we talk about or the rhythm of the season? And, there are times when, as an assistant, I'm assuming, I don't know, that you could go home and maybe kind of forget about that and just do
Mm-hmm.
what you were talking about. Is it
Mm-hmm.
harder as a head coach to kind of let that go in your home?
Yeah, it is because there's just so much to it except just football. So when I try the best that when I come home, I try to have my last conversation in my car. But as soon as I put the kids down and the wife goes to bed, of course I bring out the computer. So it's just kind of hit me. Once I try not to, I try to give family time. But right now, when I kind of get a little bit downtime, kids are asleep, I kind of able to do this and watch some film or things like that, catch on some paperwork and stuff that needs to be done. Because
How
there's
much
always
have you paid attention to other teams around? We had Classic last week between Union and
Mhm.
Jinx, and there have been some really good games. You mentioned Broken Arrow's game. I know you're
Um,
getting ready for
this
them.
past week I did a lot. Obviously, we're on the bye week, so it gives me a chance to kind of see what's going on in the state and kind of see. You don't never want to look ahead, but you also want to see the possibility on the other side of the district who's having
Sure.
success and things like that. So this past week I did more than I've had in the past. Kind of went back and watched some games just to see what everybody else is doing. So at least it's not going to be the first time I see it when we may play those guys. So this is the week that I kind of done that on the bye week.
There were times when it was Jinx Reunion that won championships, and then David won one at in Broken Arrow, and Bill won one at Owasso. Lauren, of
Mhm.
course, has won a couple at Bixby. This year, you guys have started by far better than anybody else in my mind. But it looks to me to be maybe one of the most balanced years I've ever seen at this highest level. What do you think?
I think the same. There's when we were playing Jinx that a couple weeks ago. There were over 18 guys on the football field that had Division 1 offers, and so I'm like, good Lord, so the talent is unbelievable. If I'm, a coach, a Division 1 coach like Tulsa, and I'm coming here to recruit these guys, I will make a living. If I know NSU is starting to make a splash out here real heavily, Pitt State. And so I just don't sell our kids. I sell other kids as well. And so I always tell college coaches, if you want to find some diamonds, they're definitely here in this little metroplex here in Tulsa, all over from TPS to,
Mhm.
whatever. And so there's definitely cats down here. And so that's always a good thing.
There's no doubt about that. But back to your team before we move on, and that is at this point in the season, is there something else you'd like to see from them? Or are they about where you thought? Are you ahead of where you thought you would be?
No, like I told him yesterday, like in our meeting, I just said we're nowhere near where we can be. You guys, we're still making some mistakes and some things like that. Like I want to see my quarterback continue to grow and to kind of take that leadership role and things like that and become the commander of the offense and just keep like I told them, they're not going to judge you off the week zero, and week one, and those done this weekend. They're always going to remember how you finish. So how are you going to finish as an individual, and what are you doing, to complete that process? You
It's
know,
about week 11 and beyond, right?
yes, sir, yes, sir.
Outstanding. Well, look, I hope you get a little bit of that sleep this week when you're home and put that laptop away some and make sure to say hello to that family for you.
Will do. Thank you, Rick.